One of my favorite ships from the sequel trilogy is, unsurprisingly, one of the only civilian ships featured in it, the U-55 Orbital Loadlifter. This space boat used by the Resistance checks all the boxes of small, harmless, and cute that define so many of my favorite ships in the franchise. So today we're going to take a look at the design, specifications, and history of this little shuttle. I'm Joey from Radio Free Coruscant, and this is the U-55. Design. The Sinar Fleet System's U-55 Orbital Loadlifter was an exceptionally simple spacecraft design composed of an oblong hull with a wide bar engine like those seen on most Sinar shuttles at the rear, a pair of short wings, and a ring of enormous windows around the front and sides to offer passengers a virtually unparalleled view of their surroundings. It was commonly used as a ship's boat ferrying cargo and crew to and from spacecraft and stations incapable of landing on a planet's surface. It could also be used as a courier, lifeboat, medevac ship, mobile command center, personnel shuttle, captain's yacht, and many other roles. The interior of the U-55 was unremarkable, with a small cockpit in the right side of its bow, a cargo space next to it on the left, and a mostly empty passenger cabin filling the rest of the ship's volume. While the U-55 was not designed by Sinar to be modified by the customer, it was seemingly not too difficult to do. U-55s used by the Resistance during the First Order insurrection were modified with a simple cloaking device designed by Rose Tycho that used a computer system to baffle their energy signature, and I imagine that other modifications would have likely been quite popular with U-55 owners. I would upgrade the reactor and install a hyperdrive and navigational shields, and it would be trivial to reconfigure the interior layout to suit virtually any role from a personal yacht to an ambulance and more. Specifications. The U-55 measured 22.63 meters long by 12.34 meters wide and 5.15 tall. Its top speed was unknown, but I would place it around 850 kilometers per hour, like many of Sinar Fleet System's other shuttles. It was not equipped with a hyperdrive, but I expect you could install a Class 2 or 3 pretty easily. It was unarmed as well. The U-55 required a crew of 3 with 2 pilots and an engineer, though I'm not sure if all U-55s needed the engineer, or if that was just a position the Resistance added to operate the cloaking system. The ship could also carry an impressive 60 passengers, though given its small size it would definitely not have been a comfortable ride for more than maybe 10 of them. Its cargo capacity was unknown as well, but given the number of passengers and average weight of a human, I would guess it could carry at least 4 tons of cargo without passengers, or maybe a quarter ton with a full passenger load. We don't know the price of the U-55 either, but for such a simple ship without the more expensive components like shielding, weapons, and a hyperdrive, I can't imagine a price higher than 20,000 credits. History. Regrettably, virtually nothing is known of the history of the U-55. It was preceded by a similar ship named the U-33 Orbital Loadlifter, or U-33 Orbital Space Boat, which was considered outdated by the time of the Galactic Civil War, and was likely introduced to the market during or before the Clone Wars. The Empire used a few of these for flight training purposes at the Imperial Academy, and Han Solo was trained on one briefly during his time in the Empire in Legends. It is unclear when the U-33 was replaced by the U-55, or if there was a U-44 at some point in between, but I would guess the U-55 to have been introduced somewhere after the end of the Galactic Civil War, perhaps in 10 ABY. The Resistance came to own a great number of these during the First Order Resistance War, or as I prefer to call it, the First Order Insurrection, because that's what it was. The First Order was trying to take over the galaxy. Defeating the Resistance was but a small part of that goal. Though I will say that all the major galactic wars are named poorly in my opinion, not just this one. The Clone Wars was not plural or about cloning, and should have been called the Galactic Civil War. Would we call it the Droid Wars if the Separatists had won? No, of course not. Then the Galactic Civil War was a little more accurate, but it was really more of a galactic rebellion, hence the name of the Rebel Alliance. And the First Order Resistance War was definitionally barely a war at all, and worse, First Order Resistance War is just a clunky, annoying name. But I digress. The Resistance used a number of U-55s as orbital shuttles for their various capital ships, and in 34 ABY used them to evacuate their base on Dakar. A maddeningly unclear amount of time later, they were also used to ferry personnel from the smaller ships to the Radis as they ran out of fuel, and then to evacuate the Radis itself. 6 of the 30 U-55s employed in this maneuver were destroyed, but the remainder made it to the surface of Crete, and were abandoned there when the survivors fled aboard the Millennium Falcon. And that's everything there is to know about the U-55 Orbital Loadlifter. Let me know in the comments what you think of this ship, what you'd use one for, and what ship you'd like me to cover next. But anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. RFC, out.